Longhorn Nation, Sooner fans, welcome to episode 178 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Oklahoma and the University of Texas. I'm here with my man Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, in the world of sports, yesterday there were two things going on: the NBA playoffs and the 2025 NFL draft. Among the more surprising things that occurred was, number one, the Thunder came back from a 29-point deficit in the second largest comeback in the history of the NBA playoffs. And the other surprising item was that your boy Shedeur Sanders was not drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. Of those two items, Kevin, which is more surprising?
Probably the Thunder coming back from 29 points down.
Okay,
here's why.
Stop. I'm going to stop you right there. Stop you right there. You have been on the Shedeur Sanders bandwagon for 2 years. You've told me that he's the best quarterback in the draft. You've said that the dude is really, really good. You take him at the Cowboys, all the things, and now you're going to sit here on your golden orange perch and say you are not surprised that he didn't go in the first round. That is shocking behavior, Kevin Miller. Shocking.
Well, first of all, I didn't say I wasn't surprised. You said what was more surprising. And coming back from 29 points in a basketball game, is more surprising, because if you've been listening to the chatter, which it sounds like you have not been, you would have heard that Shedeur Sanders.
I'm all over the chatter. I'm Mr. Chatter.
Shedeur Sanders was potentially sliding, and that there was only about 4 teams that would likely select him. And once you got to Pittsburgh at 21, if they weren't going to take him, then he was likely not going to be drafted in the first round.
Are you okay? That's fine. I'm a little shocked. I'm just going to say it. I'm a little shocked that Sanders wasn't taken. I think I agree with you that more surprising is a 29-point comeback, because you just don't see that every day.
Yeah.
However, and we do see quarterbacks drop, and we have seen the talk about his interviews, which were apparently terrible. But I'm still surprised that Jackson Dart was taken ahead of him.
Me too.
To the Giants?
Yeah, they drafted back into the bottom of the first round to get him.
Do you think Jackson Dart's a better pro prospect than Shedeur Sanders?
I don't think so, but man, all it takes is one team to like it. And we know how it is with quarterbacks, right? Teams are so desperate, they'll reach on guys. We talked about someone like Christian Ponder back in the day going number 11 when, nothing that you saw at Florida State would make you believe that he was a first-round quarterback talent, right? So what happens, right? I was surprised, though, with Shedeur not going in the first round. Just we've seen him around for so long. I know he has some flaws to his game, holding onto the ball for too long. But, I consider that a guy just trying to make a play for a team, especially a team that didn't have a ton of talent, especially on the offensive line. So I feel like a lot of his flaws can be corrected. Now, the thing, though, that we see with first-round picks now with quarterbacks, you see a lot of dynamic athleticism or some sort of dynamic trait with guys who go in the first round. If you look at guys like, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, even Anthony Richardson, who went in the top 5, there's something dynamic about them, right? Anthony Richardson has the athleticism, a cannon for an arm. He kind of reminds you of a Josh Allen type. And Josh Allen, when he was coming out, despite him not being that good at Wyoming, I heard the scouts saying he's got some Cam Newton-like athleticism to his game, that combination of size, athleticism, and power. Power in the arm and just, as a powerful runner. Shedeur really doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have the strongest arm. I think the last quarterback who Shedeur reminds you of is kind of like Baker, but I actually think Baker is actually a little bit more athletic than Shedeur even is.
Really?
believe it or not. Yeah, Shador is not a dual threat guy. He is a pocket passer. And I think what people were saying is you have the combination of not having a strong arm and not having the elite escapability that a lot of these guys have. And that's why they're believing he slid in the draft even more so than some stupid interviews, which nobody really cares about.
Uh, you look at the top three. Let's just talk about the top three, and then we're going to talk about Texas's first round draft, which was very, very good. But just the top three picks, real quick: Tennessee, Cam Ward; Jacksonville, Travis Hunter from Colorado; and the New York Giants, Abdul Carter from Penn State. Uh, of note to Oklahoma fans, Ben Arbuckle present on draft night for Cam Ward.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize he was there.
Yeah, I think that. Listen, the optics are always the optics, right? They're always trying to paint a picture of, what this guy could do to develop. I don't think Oklahoma is going to be creating any graphics with Cam Ward on it. I hope not.
Yeah, you would hope not either. Yeah,
but I think we know what I'm talking. I think we know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do think it's really cool that Cam Ward and his dad had some really nice things to say about Ben Arbuckle. Credited him, Ben Arbuckle, with some of the development. I mean, I think that's a really cool deal. I mean, let's not forget that Ward really had to transfer because Washington State was in no man's land following conference realignment. Correct. It was a great move for Cam Ward, obviously, goes to number one. You talk about escapability and stuff like that. Cam Ward does check those boxes from an explosive escapability, arm strength, all those things. I think he was the clear number one. Travis Hunter for Jacksonville. You hope he's not going to go into Jacksonville purgatory because you want to see what his talent can actually do in the league. Do you really think Jacksonville will roll him at both positions, or do you think they're going to pick one and try to get him really good at that?
I think they'll start him at receiver, and then they will do some cross training at corner too. I expect him to play some corner. I think you're wasting his talent if you don't put him out there some at corner. Now he's not going to play 115 snaps in the NFL. He won't survive. The game is just too fast and too physical for that. But I think he is so dynamic at wide receiver. His ball skills are just unreal, man. Just go watch some of his highlights, some of the catches that he makes. It's not even just the speed type deal. It's the fact that the ball can be anywhere. For being a smaller player, his catch radius is insane. Right? He can catch anything that comes near him.
I would think, like in my mind, it would be harder, more difficult to be a cornerback. And therefore, the training needs to be on the corner side, and then you roll him with some packages offensively. But you're saying, get him on the offensive side of the ball, put the ball in his hand, let him be a playmaker.
Yeah, I think that's what Jacksonville would do because he's so dynamic on that side. And again, I think corner is the second hardest position on the field besides quarterback. But yeah, I think he'll play receiver primarily and mixing in some DB.
And I think we know what Abdul Carter's about.
He's going to be great, by the way. I mean, with Travis Hunter, we talk about guys.
Back to Travis Hunter.
Yeah, back to Travis Hunter. He's the number one recruit in the country, and he goes to Jackson State, right? Because he believed in Prime's vision for him. The vision was, hey, look, no, you're going to be a two-way player. I played some two-way stuff, and I was able to do it even in the NFL level, which we know is very, very rare. So I'm going to make you into a great receiver and a great corner. So for him to trust in Prime enough to go to Jackson State, and then of course transfer to Colorado. I just love seeing a 5-star kid who's number one player in the country end up being, a top 2 pick in the NFL draft. And he seems, by all accounts, he's an awesome kid too. So it's great for Jacksonville.
Heisman Trophy winner. That's what you want to see. You want to see a Heisman Trophy winner. You called it the minute he went to Colorado. I don't know that you were on an island out there. I think a lot of people knew how talented he was, but you've been on the Travis Hunter bandwagon. Even to go to Colorado and be on an 8-4 team and not be the quarterback and not even really be the running back and still be clearly the Heisman Trophy winner. Genty made a run at him, but let's face it, it was always Travis Hunter's. He was just so good. I wonder if he's good enough to resurrect Trevor Lawrence's career. Because
it's still we're still on the fence there, right? It's we don't know how this is going to turn out, and we're going into year 5. So I don't want to say it's now or never, but it's starting to feel like that.
Well, it is starting to feel now or never because you look at other players in the NFL, Jaden Daniels, guys like that are passing Trevor Lawrence, right? That are supplanting him as the next big thing. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of Sam Bradford when he came out in 2008 and went to the Rams. It was just an unenviable position. It was a lackluster coach, Jeff Fisher, lackluster coach, lackluster system, multiple OCs, and you just wonder what could have really happened with his talent. I just kind of hope for Trevor Lawrence that he doesn't follow that same path, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, again, I think we all consider him to be a generational type talent at quarterback.
I mean, he was a true freshman that won the national championship, and it was on his arm. It was on his arm.
Absolutely.
Giants get Abdul Carter. We know what he's about. All right, let's talk Texas, because Texas went 3 deep in the first round, which is, again, it's a testament to recruiting, development, whatever you want to say. It sucks as an OU fan to not see our guys go. I have to get that disclaimer in real quick. But Kelvin Banks Jr., we've been talking about the dude for 3 years. He was, offensive lineman. This has always been the bugaboo for Texas, is the offensive line position and not having guys drafted. Well, that monkey is off the back now with Kelvin Banks. Jahdae Barron, by all accounts, dude's having freaking Bible studies the day of the NFL draft. I don't know. I don't like the guy. I think it's a little show. I'm just kidding. I actually think it's really cool. So anyway, Jahdae Barron, stud. And then Matthew Golden, probably the most surprising of the 3, right? I don't think when you got him in the transfer portal, you were thinking first round draft pick last year.
No, I told you, man. I've said it before. He was an absolute revelation for Texas. He was just going to be in the rotation at receiver. That's what we expected. And then he just turns out to be the number 1 guy. And just making big catch after big catch in big moments. Obviously, the Arizona State catch on 4th and 13 has become legendary. But yeah, it's just awesome for him. Shows up to the combine and runs a 4.29. And then, you started hearing some of the scouts to say how much they love him. It's like, oh, this dude's actually going to go in the first round. So when we talk about the good things that come out of the transfer portal, right? He was a kid that had some talent, right? Texas recruited him in high school. He ended up going to Houston, wanting to stay close to home. And yeah, we have a chance to get him. He takes a few weeks to learn the offense, right? Because Texas runs a kind of a pro scheme. But once he got it down, we saw it. So yeah, it's a great. And again, man, having to live through this whole decade, almost 15 years of Texas not developing players, always recruiting well, just not developing guys. And, our rivals, Oklahoma, everybody else, recruiting against Texas, and it's factual. They're not developing our guy. Why go there? You have a great time living in Austin. You get a great degree, but you're not going to go to the NFL, be a first round, second round pick because they don't develop their players. And thankfully, if you look, we've had 3 in each of the last 3, drafts. So it's great, man. It's great.
Okay. Let's stick with Texas for one more draft question before we move on. Then we'll talk some OU draft. But where does Quinn end up going? I'd say in 4th round projection.
Yeah, I would say 3rd to 4th round. You know how it is with quarterbacks. Someone might take a flyer on them in the 3rd round and say, hey, maybe there's something there, because there's obviously something there. So there's a lot of good on tape, and there's a lot of bad on tape too, right?
Well, it was interesting to me when I was prepping for this and just kind of looking at what people had been saying about Quinn, because I really had been paying too much attention to it until this show. It sounded like the Kevin Miller breakdown of Quinn Ewers over the last 3 years, which is exceptional arm talent, 5-star arm talent, all the arm talent in the world, maybe best arm talent in the draft, but does not throw on time, holds onto the ball too long, doesn't make quick decisions, and his mechanics, when he's under pressure, his mechanics break down and the arm talent goes out the window. I mean, that's what you've been saying for 3 years.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to haunt him, at least in terms of his NFL draft prospects.
Correct. Yeah. Just when you see the talent and the results would always leave you wanting just a little bit more, right? Because, sometimes you see these clips and some of these draft highlights, and it could be for our guys or for other guys we played against, right? Like if you're watching some of the Georgia tape, he's holding the ball too long. He's not seeing it quickly enough, to where he had to get benched. It just makes you wonder, man, what if, had he been just a little bit sharper? My first thing with Quinn that I was disappointed about, he never seemed to develop physically for whatever reason. Right? If we look at, other quarterbacks once they get into a college weight program and how their body changes a lot over that deal, he still doesn't look very big to me. He didn't look like he put in a ton of work in the weight room. And just the, up and down with the mechanics, throwing off platform when he didn't have to, leaving clean pockets. He didn't have to, just little things like that. So, he'll get drafted probably 3rd round. But we'll see what happens, man. I love Quinn because he helped bring us back to where we are now, just being relevant on the national stage. So I'll appreciate that forever. But yeah, man, we'll see.
First of all, yes, 2 college football playoffs. You can't take that away from the kid. You're the quarterback. You've done it. And compared to Texas, the mediocrity at quarterback, it's just really, it's not even close in terms of his performance. However, I've always said this about Quinn. The Arizona State throw to Golden that you mentioned earlier, or you referenced earlier, is like the exception in terms of, I don't remember games where Quinn ever put Texas on his back and went and won the game.
Yeah.
And there's even, in fact, I was going to make the comparison that in some ways he's the Landry Jones for Texas, that OU, uber talented, lots of records, all this kind of stuff, but never really took that next step. But even Landry Jones had games where he put them on his back. I think of like West Virginia when Tavon Austin is just running all over Oklahoma. Lost in that is that Landry Jones had an epic game where he just not threw for 900 yards and him and Kenny Stills had 8 touchdowns. I don't know what, but you know what I mean? I can't remember a game where Quinn just went out and balled out. And you're like, man, if we didn't have Quinn Ewers, we don't win that game. I don't know I ever saw a Texas game under him where my thought was, my God, Quinn's the reason you won the game. And I think that's indicative of what you're hearing right now, which is, hey, man, the talent's there, but there's just enough. There's enough to say, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, he is basically a developmental project type deal. The best game he had probably was the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma State, where we just destroyed them. But again, that was not one of those tight games where he had to necessarily carry us. I think he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. But I mean,
I'll tell you, one of his best games was the 23 Red River game in the second half.
He was great. He was really good. Yeah.
If you had gone on to win that, you could have looked back and said that is his signature game. Because but the problem was in the first half he wasn't very good.
Yeah,
so he kind of had to
3 turnovers with 2 interceptions in the first half and then the fumble in the third quarter.
Yeah. But he did, in a lot of ways, overcame that.
With 22 straight completions in the end, so. But yeah,
not enough.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. He'll get a chance if he can develop physically and stuff. I'm curious to see how his career turns out.
Transitioning to Oklahoma, listen, the two that have a chance to go in the second round, early third round, are Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman. Can they go day 2?
I mean, maybe. I mean, Stutzman, I think he surprised some with his 40. So I think that will get him under consideration. But I would say third round is more likely.
Probably for both of them?
Yeah, I think so.
You surprised about Billy Bowman with that? You surprised about Billy Bowman with all his athletic skills and kind of what I know his last year wasn't as good as his previous year.
Yeah, I thought the junior tape was a little bit better than the senior tape.
Well, yeah, he had like 3 interception returns for touchdowns and 6 interceptions overall. And
yeah,
he had a really, really good year. You almost wonder if he should have made the jump then. I mean, as OU fans, we were happy he came back, but I'm
and I was
wondering.
surprised that he came back. And maybe he got a grade that he didn't like, or maybe he just, enjoying college life. His girlfriend's here, and with
Well,
NIL, the rush to go to the NFL just isn't there because you're just
if
going because you don't have any money.
If I got to hang out with Jada Coleman, that would probably sway me as well. Just just a side comment there.
Undefeated, man.
Listen, she's undefeated. I don't know, dude. I think Stutzman's a really good. I think there's some pro comps for him. We've talked about his pro comps before.
Yeah.
I think he could be really good in the right situation. And listen, he only gets better. Stutzman only improves. And if he can be one of those guys that gets in an NFL weight room with NFL trainers, and I don't see any reason why he can't be a very successful linebacker in the league. As far as
he had a great career at OU.
He had a great career at OU. And then as far as Bowman goes, I don't know, right? Because I look at, I think Oklahoma next year is going to feel the loss of Stutzman more than the loss of Bowman. And
yeah,
I'm happy with Kip Lewis, and I'm happy with Omasigo and whoever else is going to step in.
McKenzie,
Kobe McKenzie, and all these guys. I'm happy with those guys, but I think there's going to be a loss there, right? I think there's going to be, a debt, just a little bit of growing pains and leadership and even just being in the right place at the right time, right? I mean, Stutzman was really, really good at that. I think about that Alabama game with him. And the first play of the game, Jalen Milroe, and he just meets him. He just knew where he was going to be. Met him at the line, and it was like, okay, we've come to play because of him. Again, I think Bowman, on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know. Robert Spears Jennings, Peyton Bowen. I feel pretty good with those two dudes back there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's also transfer portal updates. So while we're still talking about Oklahoma, let's transition to transfer portal updates, and one that we haven't even talked about. Tate Sandell just this morning has committed to Oklahoma. He's a kicker from UT San Antonio, the Roadrunners. Looks like he's got good stats. I don't know. He's just a kicker. And then Ricky Lolahua, defensive lineman from Utah State. We'll take another defensive lineman. But is the biggest win, Kevin, in the portal David Stone?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, absolutely.
We haven't look, the entire roller coaster left and gone up and down and around and back. And so we're back here getting to look at the entire thing. You and I texted back and forth about David Stone, but we didn't have the opportunity to have a show about him leaving or even coming back. What the heck happened in your mind?
I've heard a few things, right? Like we're gonna give him an NIL pay cut. I heard that. I don't know if you've heard anything about that. And that was one reason that
I heard the number that he signed for. Okay.
Yeah.
The number that he signed for was $800,000.
Okay.
Okay. This was last year. Incoming freshman signed an NIL package that got him to commit to Oklahoma for $800K. Then I heard at the end of the season, when they renegotiated everybody's NIL package before spring, they placed him on a $400,000 NIL contract. That he then went through spring. The portal looks like it's about to open, and he wasn't happy at $400K.
Understand?
And then he's good.
Half of what he was getting the year before.
Half of what he was getting the year before, but it's just it's a mind shift for all college football fans.
Correct.
That just because they have a 5-star next to them doesn't mean we need to be paying 5-star money.
Yeah.
Okay? We have to pay them to get them in the building, but do we really? Like, that's what Jim Nagy is going to have to answer for Oklahoma fans is, do we really? I think that Brent Venables in 2024 had to have a recruiting win. He could not afford to lose David Stone. Oklahoma kid playing out of IMG. Looks like he's going to bring Jaden Jackson as a combo deal. I don't know how combo they were. I'm just guessing. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
He had to pay for that. I don't know if Nagy is going to have that same, we have to pay for 5 stars, because I think Nagy is going to be more focused on the transfer portal. That's just a guess. So all that works out to David Stone is likely going to be a 3rd-string defensive lineman. Do you pay him 5-star money as a 3rd-string DL? Are you willing to let him walk away for having 2 tackles and 1 sack in 2024? That's the production.
Yeah.
Now,
I know. It's hard. It's hard. My thoughts are, though, he, like you said, he's a 5-star kid. He is from, where's he from? Midwest City?
Midwest City.
You can't lose that kid. He's a 5-star, and he has 5-star ability. Now, he is, probably your 4th defensive tackle, right?
Yeah, because you're looking at Jaden Jackson, Grayson Halton, and of course Dominic Williams. Let me make sure throw Dominic Williams in there. Those 3 for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know who else is positioned there, but yeah, go ahead with your thought.
Yeah. So again, even if it doesn't hurt you this year, you just can't lose that type of depth. That kind of depth is a difference in good and great teams. It's having depth on the defensive line and having quality depth on the defensive line. I thought it would have been a disaster for a kid like that who's from Oklahoma, 5-star kid, to leave and go somewhere else, to Ohio State or wherever else he, would have been considering to go to. I thought it would have been a disaster. Now, as far as the pay thing goes, I don't know. This is also new, right? But it's hard for a kid for anybody for that matter, to say, okay, well, we're going to pay you $800,000, and then the next year we're going to pay you $400,000, right? If you've been living an $800K lifestyle, it's hard to go to, down to $400K for anybody to get their pay cut in half. I'm not saying I feel bad for kids, and $400,000 is obviously a ton of money, right? I mean, most people would love to make that kind of money, but when you're coming from 8, it's a huge adjustment, especially if there's other people out there who will pay you $800 to come to their school. So, and as far as the strategy, I do think that you still need to focus on high school recruiting primarily, especially at certain positions.
I don't know. But I'm not convinced of that, Kevin. I'm not convinced. First of all, I think you have to develop offensive linemen. Yeah. I think those have to be in the system.
Yeah.
A la Kelvin Banks at Texas. I think that has to be a core position group that you do develop from the beginning. And then I think, but outside of that, I'm just not completely sure. You'd like to, but I don't think you can. My point is, I don't think you can spend the money. It's a la Moneyball. All right. Did you ever read Moneyball or watch the movie?
Yes. I've seen the movie. I haven't read the book.
Okay. I read the book, and the book gets way more in depth than the movie does. Okay. There's allusions to the point I'm about to make, but the book is very, very technical oriented in terms of production and what Major League Baseball teams pay for. And the argument is, should you pay a high school player to go directly into your farm system, or should you draft college? Okay. Yeah. That's really what a lot of Moneyball comes down to. And the research and the results indicate you should not pay high school players. You should go get college players. because their body changes and you see production against better pitching and all of that stuff, right? Better competition. And that sample size in college is way more important than any sample size you get out of high school. Ergo, if you take that same philosophy, do you pay for production out of high school in college football, or do you pay for production out of mid majors? Right? Lower level, but you know the competition's better. They're older, they're playing against better competition, a la Matthew Golden, a la what we're hoping to see out of John Mateer, Dominic Williams. You pay for those guys because they've demonstrated production.
Yeah.
You're not hoping on production. You know they're going to bring it. So your money is better spent. Now, all that as it relates to David Stone, here's the $1 million question or the $400,000 question or whatever and I don't know the answer to this, maybe you do, did OU renegotiate and get him close to the $800,000 number to stay? Yeah, I don't know.
That's a great question. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I have to think there was something there. Maybe they gave him an incentive-laden type contract. I don't know if you can do that. Who knows, right? Everything is so new and non-transparent that we have no idea what happened. But something had to lead to a change of heart, and maybe they.
I don't think he wanted to leave, man.
No. Neither do I.
To leave.
Neither do I.
It doesn't sound like this was a Nico situation, or as we're seeing with Nico's brother, which looks like Arkansas is going after NIL money. Why you would pay anybody before they play a game or beyond a stipend, I don't even know. But that's I don't even want to talk about.
That's what you get when you have a brand new system that is not structured in any way, shape, or form, right?
But even I don't want to go off the deep end on Nico's brother and Arkansas. Like I don't really care even that much. But just if they really already paid him $200K, well then shame on Arkansas. Like stop. If you'd have told me they paid him $40K, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you lost your money and so deal with it. $200K? What are we talking about? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't think David still wanted to leave. I don't think he wanted to leave.
The kid was reacting. I mean, he's retweeting stuff, from OU fans, the day after he announced he was entering the portal, which, I mean, he wasn't a kid that was angry or bitter on his way out the door.
Correct.
So, however it happened.
I'm with you, though. I'm glad we saved him. He's a defensive lineman, dude. You take him in the portal immediately. There's not a school in the country.
Are you serious? Yes. And I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, look, the good thing, Texas could not have gotten him or anybody else because he would have to sit out a year because SEC does not allow in-conference transfers during the spring window. If you transfer during the spring from an SEC school to an SEC school, you have to sit out the year. So thankfully for OU, he would not have ended up at Texas or another school that's on your schedule this year. But still, you want to see him at Ohio State?
No.
Right? Miami.
I want to see him. I want to see him in Crimson and Cream being the 5-star that we think he is. That's what I want to see. And so, it was so easy when he left. And I did not post anything. You can look at the timeline of the Boomer Bevo podcast Twitter line. I did not post anything.
Smart.
Because
players.
I don't want to attack a player because my thought when he first left, it was like, I don't want this dude to leave. This isn't a good riddance situation. This isn't we'll be better without him situation. There was none of that. It was like, oh, dude, I want him to come back. And then he comes back. I didn't even post anything there either because I didn't know what to say. So anyway, that's the David Stone.
Yeah, you don't want to be one of those guys who's out there deleting your hateful tweet you posted at a kid.
It's stupid. I mean, first of all, you just don't know. You don't know what the situation is. Now with Nico, I think you're starting to see that you know what the situation is and that sort of thing. Whatever. Again, do you have to go after a kid? I don't think so, but it's interesting. All right, Texas transfers, Texas portal. It looks like your most recent ones are Murad Watson. Am I saying that right?
Murad Watson, out of Syracuse.
There's a defensive lineman we're talking about.
Correct, yeah. And true freshman last year, started a bunch of games for them. A very, productive kid. I know Syracuse was very disappointed to lose him, and he had a lot of options coming out of Syracuse. We're excited for him. Mason Shipley, kicker, transfer out of Texas State. Bert Auburn's gone. We talked about that last time. So, yeah, and this kid was incredibly accurate for the Bobcats last year. So, definitely positioned.
No relation to
not that I know. I don't think
the most hated player in Texas football history, right?
So. I don't think
just the name is going to trigger me, though, Kevin.
Yeah.
Just
you put him out there number 8?
Shipley. Oh, if he rolls out number 8, I don't know what I would do. It was 2008, Kevin. And this is what we talk about on this. If I've told the story before, I don't care. This is the Boomer Bevo Podcast. The year was 2008. Oklahoma's the number 1 team in the country. I had gotten 11 a.m. kickoff. I had got tickets in the news section of the Cotton Bowl. So I was way up there, right in the end zone, right? And I had made the mistake of drinking red velvet cake beer, which sounded like an amazing idea.
On game day?
Yeah, sounded amazing at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, that's bad. That's
no.
That's a rookie move right there. You do all the crazy stuff on Friday.
I know, Kevin. But it tasted so good, dude. Like when it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many. I didn't have like a ton. I'm a lightweight. Listen, I am a lightweight. But yeah, I had like 3 or 4. And the game starts out so good for Oklahoma. And I was feeling so good. And then Jordan effing Shipley returns a touchdown. And I swear to God, as he's running down the field, he's looking at me personally, Kevin. And his thoughts are, as he's looking at me, he's like, you shouldn't have had those red velvets, bro. And touchdown, Texas. And then once his name gets hurt, the linebacker, and it's over. Oh. I do not need another Shipley. I do not need another Shipley, Kevin.
The linebacker.
Ryan Reynolds.
Really talented player out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. Yeah, one of the biggest moments in the history of the rivalry for Texas, because again, that game was this close to getting away from us, and you guys were great. First of all, Bradford was great the entire game.
Yeah, but DeMarco Murray was great. It was a great. Listen, we talk about 08 all the time. The talent on that field for both teams.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable, man. I mean,
you
talk about just first-round picks.
Oh,
I mean, for OU, you guys had Trent Williams, Gerald McCoy,
Jermaine Gresham,
Bradford,
obviously.
So yeah, 4 first round. You also had Lode Holt and at offensive tackle who played a long time in the NFL. Who else did you have? Like you said,
I can't believe Trent Williams was on that team. That's what's so crazy is how long that dude's been in the league.
Well, man, Texas gave him some trouble that day with Brian Arakpo.
Oh, yeah.
He was so good that game, and I didn't realize that Trent Williams was that good because of how good Brian Arakpo was. And we had Sergio Kendall on the other side. So just pretty dynamic at edge that day. Roy Miller, a defensive tackle. I mean, Earl Thomas as a freshman picked off Bradford twice in that game.
Yeah. The best player on the field was still Jordan effing Shipley, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Every time Texas needed a first down in the second half on third and 6, it went to Jordan Shipley, and you were like, I got so sick of his name getting called. I got so sick of first down, and my head was pounding, just pounding. Like, I've not pre-gamed at an OU Texas game since.
Yeah, that is
for that very reason.
I understand that, and for Texas fans, it's definitely our biggest win in that rivalry for sure.
Oh, all right, there you go.
Never gets old. Never gets old, man. Oh, real quick, shout out to Quan Cosby for absolutely obliterating Lindy Holmes on that big Jordan Shipley play. So, biggest play of the game. Most exciting play from a Texas standpoint.
I saw Lindy Holmes. Yeah, he did. I saw Lindy Holmes at the Houston Huffman. It's the gym that you go play ball at OU. I don't know what they have now, but back in the day, it was like a 4-court gym. And I always thought it was funny how basketball is a very segregated game. I'm just going to say it. And so like on court 1 was you're ballers. Those were dudes that you were like shocked they weren't playing college ball somewhere, and maybe some of them even did. Number two was all your high school basketball players, predominantly 6'1" white guys who like to play basketball but weren't. And then the court three was the Asians, and then court four was your scrubs. I don't know why it works out that way. That's just life, Kevin. I don't make the rules.
Gravitated that way.
I don't make the rules, Kevin. That's just the way life is. Okay. I was playing on court two one day, and I looked over, and this dude takes off from like the free throw line and throws it down two-handed, and I'm like, who the hell was that? Lindy Holmes. Like, listen,
he was an athlete, man.
The athletes that some of these football players are. You think about like DeMarco Murray's recruiting visit. Is Stoops can't even talk to him, but sees him dunk it at Bishop Gorman in their basketball gym. He's like, give the kid a scholarship. Yeah, these guys are amazing. Lindy Holmes, though, that dunk in person live. Now I know who he's going up against. I get it. I'm not saying he's anybody. I'm saying the dunk itself was.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, who you're playing. If you can just jump like that,
it resonated.
You're not a basketball player. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Longhorns that you hate, it was the same deal with Ramonce Taylor, and Mac Brown goes to one of his games, and he's like, he throws it off of the gym wall. The ball bounces and he dunks it like a 360.
Yeah,
it's like what
are we talking? Yeah, and you see it, and you know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition. Listen, there's weather outside. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. There's weather outside right now as we're recording it. Lightning, thunder. I don't think there's any hail. There was some hail last night in Northwest Oklahoma City, though. I'm not Northwest Oklahoma City, but Northwest Oklahoma. Look, it's storm season, dude. If a tornado hits or you get a lightning strike, you want to call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver works for the insured, not the insurance company, to process insurance claims. Brown O'Haver gets clients 30 to 40% more money than they get on their own. Brown O'Haver is located in Moore, Oklahoma, the epicenter, the world epicenter for tornadoes and natural disasters. Brown O'Haver knows how to adjust tornado claims, fire claims, any claim to personal property that you file. You want more money for your insurance claim? Do you want to get paid for your insurance claim? Call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Kevin, if we get hail in the next couple months, which we are bound to do, and you think your roof's been hit, who do they call?
Got to call Pioneer Roofing and Construction. Listen, John, they'll go out, they'll give you a free estimate. They'll let you know, first of all, if you have roof damage, if you should file a claim, or if you don't need to file a claim at all, right? So free, honest inspection. If your roof needs replaced, they'll get you all taken care of. Give them a call, 405-549-2712, Pioneer Roofing.
Hopefully, you're out there and you don't need Pioneer Roofing. Hopefully, you're out there and you don't need Brown O'Haver. But if you do, if you need somebody to look at your roof, or you're displaced from your home or your business and you need somebody to work with you on your insurance claim, it's Pioneer Roofing on your roofs, Brown O'Haver on your insurance claims. Pretty easy call. We got to talk Thunder. We opened up with the Thunder, but now we've got to break this down. Thunder up 2-0, 51-point win in game one. Whatever. Number two was a ho-hum, another 20-point win. I'm not watching the game, but I'm kind of keeping an eye on the phone, and it's 20 points, it's 24 points, 26 points, 29 points. The Thunder effectively laid an egg in the first half. Like, I don't know if they thought the series was over, or if they thought they didn't have to show up, or they didn't realize what playing on the road in the playoffs was about. I'm not sure what any of it means, except to say Chet Holmgren woke up in the second half. 23 points, 3-pointers from everywhere. The dude looked like the dude you wanted Chet Holmgren to be all year. He answered the question that I asked last week. Who could be the second to Shea? Is it J Dub or is it Chet Holmgren? Well, last night it was Chet Holmgren. Kevin, how much of that comeback was Oklahoma City just being Oklahoma City, And how much was Lou Dort taking a shot at John Morant's knees? You tell me what occurred last night.
Well, I mean, obviously it was both, but obviously the jaw injury completely flipped the game, right? From that moment on, they
Dirty
just
play,
struggled
Kevin?
to score. I don't think so. No, I don't think.
Okay.
And I will call it out if I thought it was, even for a player I like in Lou Dort. No, I mean, it was a fast break, 2-on-1. Pippen Jr. kind of did the behind the back pass. I thought he should have just don't. I thought he should have taken another step and just thrown it up for a lob. But no, I mean, he's chasing. He goes around the back with the pass. Lou Dort, you know, stops, but he's actually falling down himself because he's trying to, change direction so quickly, and just kind of falls right into Ja as he's jumping. So really unfortunate collision. I hated the fact that Ja was injured because he's a guy. I mean, he's one of the most exciting players in the entire league, right? He starts running towards the basket. You kind of hold your breath because he can dunk on anyone in the league. I mean, he even dunked on Wemby earlier this year. One of the best dunks I've ever seen. Didn't count, but so yeah. But once he got hurt, obviously that damages Memphis' ability to score, right? How their offense flows, and then the Thunder just stepped it up. They were more intense with their defense, and then their passing, moving the ball around, and Chet, like you said, hitting three after three after three, and also his ability to pump fake off the three and handle the ball and drive to the basket. He can get there quickly. Not your typical 7-footer, right? He's
No.
got so many moves, so many things, so many ways that he can hurt you. As a shooter, he can play in the post, especially the high post. He can handle the ball like a guard. He can literally get around bigger defenders and finish over them as well. So just an ultra talented guy. Obviously, his injury that he had really kind of derailed his season, missed like 30 to 40 games with an injury. So he's still rounding back into form. And if we can get that kind of consistency out of him, then the Thunder will be really hard to beat because Shea still hasn't really shot the ball well in this series. And the fact that they're up 3-0, has to have Thunder fans feeling really good about it.
I mean, the series, everybody said the series was over after 2, but the series is really over now, right? It's got to be hard for Memphis to come. Memphis to mentally recap. Yeah, I don't see a scenario. Who did the Thunder play in the second round, Kevin?
The winner of the Clippers and the Nuggets. So the Clippers are looking really good in that series.
Yeah.
And what's really scary is Kawhi is looking like Kawhi. And I've said this for a few years. Kawhi Leonard quietly is one of the best playoff performers in the history of the NBA.
Agreed.
He's that good in the playoffs. I mean, in game 2, he had 38 points. And John, he was 15 of 19 from the field. I mean, what are we talking about? 15 of 19? This is not Shaq either in 2000 where he's just dunking on everybody.
I saw a graphic online that asked Kawhi or Scottie Pippen.
It's a great question.
I don't know that it's even that good of a question, Kevin. I think it's Kawhi.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you think of Pippen, you think of the 6 rings, right? But just as a player, I think you get more offensively from Kawhi.
Kawhi won a title at Toronto. I can't even name another player. I can't even name another player on Toronto. I'm sure you can, and I'm sure they're out there, and I'm forgetting somebody. But honestly, like, he won a title with Toronto. He's been multiple defensive players of the year. He's just, listen to your point. He's even in LA. He's quietly one of those guys that is just so good.
If not for those injuries that he suffered during the middle of his career, starting with the end of his Spurs tenure, and then once he got to the Clippers too. Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about him. I think he's up there in that 15 to 20 all-time type talent.
I mean, I think we all agree, though, the problem with Kawhi is sometimes Kawhi himself. Like, he's a different dude. He's a different
cat for sure. For sure.
Which Scottie Pippen was kind of a different cat too, but he's a different cat. And I'll still never forget the Miami Heat series where the Spurs had the lead and then he goes to the free throw line at the very end of the game.
Game 6, 2013.
And his eyes were that big. Like, you'll never forget. It was like, and I'm like, oh man, this dude's missing these free throws. Like,
yeah,
there's no way. You saw like true fear in a dude, which you really don't see that much at an NBA level. You just don't, and you certainly don't see it from somebody who legitimately has a claim as a top 20 player of all time.
Yeah, he was young.
That moment,
second year in the league,
it was too big for him.
Yeah, he was second year in the league. Yeah,
and the way he recovered from that is pretty dang impressive.
He did. I mean, first of all, he was really good in that series, defending LeBron, making it hard for him. Obviously, LeBron at that point is the best player on the planet.
Sure.
But, he made LeBron really work in that series to the fact that LeBron really respected him afterwards. And like you said, the way he bounced back from that, and the Spurs just in general, coming back from that, heartbreak. And for us as a Spurs fan, and it was absolutely devastating them losing that series. But to come back to win, to beat them in 5, and for him to be named Finals MVP.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
But I think the crazy thing about Kawhi, man, is just when he came into the league, he was a defender. He was a defender. And the Spurs thought he could be an elite defensive player, as a, perimeter defender, a versatile defender who can defend really 1 through 4, and was a good rebounder for being, a small forward, 6'7" small forward. He's a really good rebounder. He averaged double digits rebounds in that series against Miami, even the one in 2013. But the offense, that just came out of nowhere. I don't think any of us expected him to become a dominant offensive player. And, it started really in that 14 season and really peaking in that when he went to Toronto. You're seeing him going in that playoff run, and he averaged 32 points throughout the entire playoffs.
As it relates to the Thunder, I still don't know that I don't think the Clippers match up well with the Thunder.
Neither do I.
I mean,
he's the only mismatch, and he's a huge mismatch, but I don't know if it's enough.
He's a mismatch, but you can throw Dort at him. You can throw Caruso at him.
I don't think Dort can handle him. I don't think Caruso can handle him either. But again,
I don't think they.
It's the other guys.
Think they can handle. Yeah, that's my point. I don't think they can handle him he's going to get his, but they're going to make it hard on him. And there's just nobody else. They don't have to double him. Does that make sense? I mean, they probably will at times.
They don't have to. But yeah, they don't have to.
They don't have to. They can make him work. And
that's what's happened with John this series, right? Like, as good as he is, it's like, okay, we're going to throw Dort on you. And then, then we're going to put Case and Wallace on you.
Yeah,
and then we're going to put Caruso. Yeah, he's been great. And then we're going to put Caruso on you.
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't even have room to breathe.
That's what I think is going to be the matchup with the Clippers. Although Russ had a pretty good game was the Nuggets in game 1. It's pretty exciting, Russ. Some pretty exciting.
You got Russ. You got the full Russ experience in that game.
I don't think it's
shooting shots that you're like, dude, what are you thinking there? And then he makes a shot and it's awesome. So you got the full Russ experience, and that's why we love him.
Let's close out. Shout out to the women's gymnastics at Oklahoma, national champions. 7 national championships for Oklahoma, 7 for Coach KJ Kindler. Jordan Bowers winning the all-around, individual all-around title as well. Dude, you look at KJ Kindler and you look at Patty Gasso and you think to yourself, that's what excellence looks like. That's what coaching excellence looks like. And they don't accept anything less than the best. You can see it right there when they do it. It's so impressive. Look, Oklahoma had a redemption story of their own, a la Kawhi Leonard last year, where they completely flopped in the finals on the vault, where it was just disastrous. And you can't say it wasn't in the back of their mind. You can't say it wasn't in the back of KJ Kindler's mind. It was stuff that you can't unsee. It was a disaster. And yet all they did was bounce back, take a national championship, take an all-around championship. Jordan Bowers is going to go down as a legend at the University of Oklahoma. I think the real legend is going to be her fiance who gets to marry her. I was in a car with Alice around Valentine's Day. We were talking about Jordan Bowers. I'm like, look, she's really cute. She's like a very good looking lady. And I can't believe this dude really should be with her. Like, I didn't think he was at her level. Okay. This is going to sound weird. This is going to be a weird story, but let me finish it all the way through. I didn't think that he was at her level. Right. And so Alice is like, well, let's look him up. Let's see what his deal is. And she takes a look at this guy. And she's like, oh, well, he was a gymnast at OU. And then she sees a picture without his shirt on. And she's like, oh, no, Jordan Bowers is doing just fine. So there you go. Jordan Bowers, winning at life, winning at gymnastics, winning in the boy department. Good on you. Congratulations. My wife approves of your fiance, which I think Jordan Bowers needs. I think she needs Alice's approval. Would you agree with that?
Of course.
Who doesn't? All right, let's close with this, Kevin. Where does Shedeur Sanders get drafted tonight?
I think he goes right away to Cleveland.
You think Cleveland knew it when they traded?
I have no idea. Maybe.
They're not that smart. Cleveland's not that smart.
Yeah, it's Cleveland. Yeah, we really can't give them credit, right? We're talking about the franchise that gave Deshaun Watson $200 million guarantees, despite his name being wrapped up in a major off-the-field controversy.
Yeah, probably the worst contract in NFL history.
Yes.
Okay, look, it is so obvious that the Browns should draft him. So obvious, painfully obvious. There's a chance the Browns don't draft him, though, right? Like,
yeah, there's always a chance. Yeah,
they can do something stupid here, can't they?
Yeah, of course, it's the Browns.
And then if that happens,
go ahead.
If that happens, where does he fall? Just to the next team? You think
maybe Pittsburgh? I think that's a good. I mean, Pittsburgh has to do something here. The quarterbacks on their roster are Mason Rudolph, and who's the kid that played at Case? Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
Those are the quarterbacks they have on their roster right now. And, we've been hearing things about Aaron Rodgers potentially signing there, but it hasn't happened yet. So they got to do something here.
Where did Fields and Russell Wilson end up going?
Fields is with the Jets, where it looks like he's going to be their starting quarterback next year. And then Russell Wilson is with the Giants.
Russell Wilson tutoring Jackson Dart, you think?
I guess so. I don't know. Oh, also, Jameis Winston's there in the Giants quarterback.
Dude, Jameis is just there eating W's. That's all Jameis is doing. Look, I was not a Jameis Winston fan at Florida State. And I can honestly say I don't know that I was ever a Jameis Winston fan until he started just like being just the craziest dude in the league. And I can't get enough of that guy. He's nuts, man. I don't know how good he is. I don't know what his, I think he has a record at Tampa for most touchdowns and most interceptions. Like, he's a weird dude.
I think he might have went 30-30.
Yeah, I think you're right. But at the same time, the character that is Jameis Winston is as good a character as ever in the league. He's unbelievable.
Well, here's the thing about him that I'll always remember for being just a really cool moment. When he was at the Elite 11 in high school, Trent Dilfer was kind of like the coach that was running it, and Trent Dilfer had lost a son, right?
Okay.
And after the event was over, I don't know if you've heard this, he said, we know that you lost your son, but, don't worry, because you've got 11 sons now.
Oh,
that's what he told you.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. The guy's heart is bigger than anything else out there, man.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish. I tell you what, I was rooting for him at Cleveland. I was because I would have loved for him to clearly supplant Deshaun Watson. It would have been a great story. He just throws too many interceptions, man. He just throws the ball to the wrong team too much. But anyway. All right, Kevin. Great show. We've got draft night day 2 tonight. We've got the Thunder, I'm guessing on Saturday. I haven't seen the schedule. Are they a Saturday game or a Sunday
Saturday
game?
Afternoon, I believe Saturday 2:30.
I think it's over. I think we'll be talking about round 2 by the next time we're here. Kevin, have a great rainy Friday. Hopefully not too bad a weekend this weekend. Enjoy yourself.
Okay.